All right, now let's talk Leave the World Behind, Netflix original. A family's getaway to a luxurious rental home takes an ominous turn when a cyberattack knocks out all their devices and two strangers appear at their door. This movie has a 76% critic score and a 34% audience score. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes. It's a mystery thriller. Brian, what did you think of this movie?
Wait, what was the split? Did you say 76% critic,
Yep,
34 audience?
right.
I didn't think I'd
Yep.
actually agree with the critics on this.
You mean the audience?
No, the audience is tripping because this movie was pretty cool. I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't like blow your socks off amazing, but for it being a fucking Netflix movie, I enjoyed it.
So I
And what's
you go
up?
ahead. Sorry.
Nothing. I was just gonna say that it had me enough to where I was texting you guys, like asking questions. Like I haven't done that in a movie in so long.
Hmm. Well, so I had a feeling you would like this, um, just because the way the movie's set up. But I've seen both sides of this, both sides of the argument that people either hate it or love it or enjoy it at least. I'm kind of in between. Um, I'm at that point where I probably wouldn't rewatch it, but if someone asked me about it and said, "Is it worth checking out?" I'd probably say yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I think like you and Andrew probably enjoyed it more than I did,
Hmm.
and more than like Aiden did. So, uh, I mean, it's kind of broken. It's broken up into what, 5 chapters?
Yeah, they went by 5 parts in it.
Yeah. What did you think of that? The way they split it up?
I liked it. I was fucking around on my phone though, and I missed the name of the second one, so that was actually one of the times I texted you guys because I wanted to look it
Hmm.
up, and I was like, I'm gonna get this spoiled. And then when I did look it up, these dumbasses online kept asking, "Is there gonna be a sequel?" Like, fuck off! I just want to know the name of the 5 parts.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You got a good cast too. You got Julia Roberts, Ethan
mhm,
Hawke, Mahershala Ali shows up. Big fan
yep.
of him. Um,
It was really cool to
Kevin
see
Bacon.
Ethan Hawke. I was gonna say Ethan Hawke and Kevin Bacon because I always like thought they looked familiar or looked
Hmm.
similar, and then you see them on the screen, and you're like, yeah, all right, that's not a crazy take.
Yeah. According to Rotten Tomatoes too, Michelle and Barack Obama are executive producers on this. So
Yeah, I heard about that, and there was also there's like a conspiracy on it that if you took this movie and if you broke it down, you know how like you would separate like audio from like the image, and like it would just be two things, like one would be an image thing and one would be an audio thing. Apparently, there was like 4 layers of audio. Like, yeah, I don't know how true this is. I
right.
obviously ended up on the conspiracy side of things on Twitter, what they were talking about how there's 4 different things with the audio and how the certain one is set to a certain fucking what's the exact word, like a tune almost, and that it's better
Mm.
for listening purposes, but that's not how the movie was made. And everyone was like, it's the fucking Obamas. So like if you want to look into that, that was a really funny thing to see, because of course like they can't just do something kind of fun, someone has to have like another message behind it, which I guess in this
Yeah.
sense, which we later find out is like, I guess, well, not the government, but it is like a war. So of course
Yeah.
there is some nut out there that's like, well, if you look at it, the Obamas predicted what's gonna happen.
Well, I do want to say, and this is one of the aspects I liked about the movie, was the camera work was really cool. Really cool in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Like the way they transitioned into the house or moving throughout the house, I thought was really cool. But mainly, we see the cast just kind of stuck in this house, and I think
Uh-huh.
that's kind of the gripe with a lot of people that are watching it. It's like they kind of don't know, well, what the hell's going on out there, and they never really answer it specifically, as to what's going on. What
I mean,
did
they
you
do by
like
the
that?
end
That
of
they
it.
kind of Yeah, but it's kind of open ended. I mean, you believe it's a war, but you don't know who it is. If it's all their enemies coming together, like one character believes, or if
Uh-huh.
it's you know a certain group, right? But you know,
I,
I mean, shit. Technically, it could be aliens. Technically,
all right, okay, so there's a lot to tackle on this, and again, I wish Andrew was here only because he was the one that was like, he was all right with the movie. I know you and Aiden had some choice words about it, and Andrew knew that I was gonna like this movie, and I honestly I wasn't even supposed to be on this episode, so it's funny how that worked out. Um,
Hmm.
but at certain points, I didn't know what this movie was about. At first, I genuinely thought it was aliens, and so then when I read the synopsis as I was watching the movie, maybe like 15 minutes into it, because I was like, all right, where the fuck are the aliens? And then you find out, oh, it's like a cyber attack, and then you're like, what the fuck? And then you don't know if it's like a cyber attack. Like I did like that thing where he brought up the "I love you" chain, and it was the two kids from Peru. Like it could be something as simple as that, or like
Yeah.
is it actual like terrorists going after it? And then
Hmm.
from there, if it is terrorists, then it's like, who's doing this? Like, is this someone in our own country trying to do like a ransom thing to like put our own like country out until they get paid, or is this country's trying to attack us for like war purposes? And I like
Yeah.
that was like in the back of your mind, because again, for a minute, like I said, 15 minutes until I read the synopsis, I thought it was aliens. And what really got me too was that they mentioned in the synopsis about like the animals patterns and how that changed, and it almost seemed like as if then we had like a Last of Us situation where something happened and there was like an outbreak, and like that, I guess I don't know what I was thinking, but like maybe like people were like disappearing, like maybe half the world got like snapped like Thanos, like when the ship showed up on land but there was no one on the boat. That didn't make any sense to me. And then these animals
Hmm.
are going crazy, so it's like it could have been not even a cyber attack for a while. Like it almost could have been something supernatural is how it felt. And I like that
Yeah.
feeling
Or
because
like a
I
rapture or something.
exactly like a rapture.
Right.
So like that I like that. I like that feeling for a while, even though like we did know probably I think what 40 minutes in, because I think that's when the planes start crashing and the satellite phones don't work and shit like that. So like at that point, again, you could think rapture, or it is confirmed because I think that's when the TV goes off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh. So. It was just I like the feeling of those things. Like I'm a big fan of The Last of Us. I was a big fan of The Walking Dead. Well, the early seasons of The Walking Dead, and that's how it felt. And I did enjoy that. It just obviously with them being in one place, I kind of didn't mind it only because we have seen so many based off the two shows I just brought up. We've seen so many of what happens when they go to town. And like in this sense it would have been more of like The Last of Us. There's not hordes of zombies, but they show up and like they instantly get attacked by other fucking people. So like
Yeah.
we knew what the hell was gonna happen there, and like Ethan Hawke's sick, but he's not a badass like that. Like this guy's gonna take care of his family. He's not gonna sit here and fucking be Pedro Pascal. Like no shot.
Yeah. Was he actually trying to fuck that Ruth character?
No, he was just being
I didn't think
like
so either.
no. Ruth was being an asshole the whole way through, dude. She was pissing me off. Her
Yeah.
dad was cool as fuck. But no, Ruth was being a bitch.
Yeah. I was like, did I miss something there? I didn't understand, and
No, and
I
well,
don't
on
know.
top of that too is like she says that, but it's like, dude, you're the one that got him high,
Yeah.
which was
Asked
funny.
him to smoke.
Yeah, they pulled out the Benjamin as soon as she
Hmm.
brought it out. I was like, no way.
Yeah, and then they see flamingos. That's the thing. So it's like the deers weren't
Deer,
really ever the deer weren't
yeah,
really ever answered just because
and,
the migration was off, right? And
and
it's
the
like, dude, they're
flamingos,
so stupid.
yeah,
How would they? Yeah, flamingos are from Florida. They're in New York during the movie,
uh
so
huh,
obviously that's a lot of travel
mm-hmm.
for those kind of birds. But yeah, it's like it's never really answered. These are dumb animals trying to warn them of something, but it's like, I mean, really, how do they know? And then two, there's that really big deer, so it's like I was thinking, like, what are they mutating now? Like, I didn't
See,
understand
and
where that shit was going.
that's what I thought too. And then when the son got bit, and again his teeth start falling out, which they
Yeah, but they're
later.
they're saying the radiation
Yeah, I was gonna say,
from
and
the
they later
noise.
say that's the radiation, but the teeth thing again could have been chalked up to whatever the fuck bit him, and if that thing bit the deer and is now controlling the deer, like,
Right.
and then that's
Or
why
could
the
be radiation
flamingos are
controlling the
there.
deer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's all over the place. It is,
Right.
but again, I was still rolling with it. I mean, it
Mm.
didn't help. I obviously, as you can tell, I'm all plugged up. So when I watched this movie, I watched Saltburn earlier, When I watched this one, I was on my PM medicine, so I don't know, maybe I was like half asleep just enjoying it, not really paying too much attention. But it is everywhere. You don't really get a lot of answers that you would really want. Um, because again, like they go to the beach, right? Like the whole thing here is what's the main chick's name? I already forgot it.
Amanda.
Amanda. Amanda wants to go on a trip, a little vacation. They've been so stressed. Cool. They go to this nice ass house, Airbnb for the weekend, and like that. Thankfully, they did it. She just had that feeling to do it this weekend. Good for her, because they live right in the heart of the city. So they
Right.
go, and then they're like, "Aha, let's go to the beach." And Ethan Hawke gets a pack of cigarettes, so he's happy. He'll do whatever. So they go to the beach, and they're sitting there, and the ship's just getting closer and fucking closer, and then it crashes on the land. Now, wouldn't you think if you lost all comms that there would be people on the ship, like at the front, yelling to the people on the beach, like, "Hey, get the fuck out of the way. We don't know what's going on." But instead, the ship shows up, and it's almost like it's empty, and no
Hmm.
one, no one jumps off of it. No one says a goddamn thing. They just run away and go home, and they're like, "Oh, our
Right.
phones don't work." And it's like, I feel like that would be a bigger deal than you think,
Yeah.
because I mean, granted, in a family, you're all on the same phone plan. Like, there's been times where like our phones didn't work because Verizon was doing some type of bullshit update. But like if our phones didn't work and like we were at school and I asked you and I was just like, "Hey man, is your phone work?" And you're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, cool. Then Verizon's being shitty right now." That'd be the end of
No.
discussion. But if you were like, "Mine's not working," and we asked someone like, I think Spencer has a different phone line than us, like T-Mobile or some shit. We asked him, his was out. Like that'd be a big fucking deal. And they
Right.
just chalked that up to nothing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because there was a TikTok I saw where a cargo ship like crashed into land just a couple days ago. When I checked the comments and everything, it was everyone was saying "Leave the World Behind" is actually happening, and so it's pretty funny.
What?
But yeah, me and Andrew have talked about it before in the past. If you were to attack America, doing an EMP type thing, wiping out cars and phones from working, it would fuck us up, and clearly that's what this movie did. So I did like that aspect of it,
Hmm.
but it's really just like, and I know they're trying to keep you confused as the characters, which I understand, but at like some point, I want some things answered, and I feel like pretty much most of the movie is just up to your interpretation. And it was to the point, Brian, where I went and watched like YouTube videos after it because I was like, maybe I missed something and I want to understand. And there's a few things I did miss. Um, a lot of it is with colors.
Hmm.
So this movie has like a lot of blue in it,
Hmm.
and then there's some red tones in there as well, which is pretty
Hmm. Hmm.
interesting. And then there's two picture frames. There's one in the main room that changes over the course of the movie. There's four different sections of it. It starts as like four white lines, which is supposed to symbolize each of the main family. And then
Uh-huh.
as the movie goes on, it gets crazier and crazier. And then in the bedroom, there's like a little beach behind them or ocean. And the waves start really low. And as the movie goes on, as the chapters progress, the waves become bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's really cool. Did not notice that throughout the movie. That's really sick. So it's like certain things like that was really cool that they did, and then there's other aspects where it's like kind of confusing. Obviously, the ending too. It's like,
Hmm.
so it's a lot of different stuff like that. So that's why I see both sides of people's arguments as to is this a good movie or not.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot going on with it, and I guess the more fun aspect of this is when you like do determine it is an attack. Uh, is that you're right, because again, I wanted Andrew on this episode because I did text him immediately after watching it how fucked we would be if they took out our grid. Like if we had
Right.
no electronics, me and him were talking about it. I told him give me like a week, and especially because now it's a little different because all you guys are in one area, like with your family, your immediate family. But I told him, I was like, dude, like if I'm out in Grand Rapids and this happens and my family's here, like I don't even know what to do. Do I stay put and hope they're coming to me, or do I go this way and risk crossing at some point in the 2.5 hour drive and we miss each other, and now here I am in downriver and my family's out in Grand, like I told him I thought about this so many times. I have thought about this, and it freaks me the fuck out to where it like works me up. And to watch this
Yeah,
movie, it came back in that feeling because again, they're talking about driving to her sister's house, or they're talking about they have to go to the airport to get their mom or the other two people. I'm blanking on everyone's name right now. I apologize. But they have to go pick up their mom, and it was just like, fuck, man, like no phones, nothing. I'm screwed. I am
yeah,
screwed. And I did like when Ethan Hawke's talking to Kevin Bacon, and he goes, "Without my phone or GPS, I am a useless man. I am just trying to take care of my family, and that's all I know." And it was like, that takes a bigger man than Kevin Bacon, who was prepared for this, to admit that. But I get that
right.
because I am just the same way.
Yeah, we see Ethan Hawke try to use a map and get lost.
Yep.
Obviously, he's not too familiar with the area. It's funny too. I in that video I was watching, where he runs into that woman in the street and she can only speak Spanish.
Yeah, what is she saying in that?
She says this guy breaks it down, and the video is pretty cool. She tells you what's going to happen in the movie, basically. That she's been seeing planes dropping notes. She saw a ton of deer, and they're acting weird. Um, she said that she was talking about the noise, and then she mentioned seeing like flamingos too. Like she pretty much mentions things that's going to happen throughout the
So if
movie.
you were a Spanish speaker, you just got the whole like foreshadowing in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, but too, you'd probably think she's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
What's
well,
she
I mean,
talking
you
about?
would think that until like 2 minutes later when the fucking
Right?
flyers are shooting down, which was crazy because you don't know what it is until it gets a little closer and you're like, wait, are those fucking Chinese food menus? That's all I thought instantly. And then you
Yeah,
see it, and it is funny. But yeah, talking to Danny was Kevin Bacon's character, right? Am I getting there right?
yeah,
All right, so Danny, uh, now. This is another thing too. When something big happens politically, and it seems like we're on the brink of war, like me and Andrew go back and forth, and we're like, "Ah, it's like the end of times. Like, should I use up my last bit of PTO and take off work if the world ends next week? Do we just
hmm,
skip?" Um, and one of the recent things that has happened is like, oh, we're on the brink of World War III, and it was talking about what was it, China was like merging, well, not merging, but like working with like Iran and shit like that, and how they were
yeah,
like the U.S. dollar is no longer the top dollar due to like other countries working with China now, and Danny straight up tells him, he's like, look, they're dropping flyers. You're thinking it's Iran. They're dropping flyers in California, and it looks like it's fucking Korea. Like, he goes,
yeah.
it's a high probability that we're such a big country, we have so many enemies that they're teaming up. And like that's like a genuine fear as well. It's like
Right.
if we go down, we're going down because numerous countries teamed up. And I mean, it's a tale as old as time. I mean, that's what happened in both world wars. You have the Axis and the Allied powers. Like people, like that's how it works. Countries do go together, but if they got the jump on us, dude, we're fucked. We are
Yeah.
so fucked. And then, and then it turns into like, if you look at the what's it called, the weather balloon that came in from Canada, but it was actually a spy balloon, and like how they said it was Chinese, and how it could have gone through Canada, and they were using that to map the way everything floats and like response times. And
Hmm.
at that point, if it went through Canada, that thing was up in the air for like 10 days, and no one said a goddamn thing about it. And just shows how unalert we are to random things like that, or at least the general public is. If the government knew
Yeah, it
about
took
it,
them a while to shoot it down too.
exactly. And again, that we don't know what the government knows versus what we're told, and that's why I think J.H. Scott, that was his name. I forget the actor's name, but G.H. Scott in the whole movie, I did like that he was like that middleman. That he did have this knowledge about stuff and just didn't play his whole card. Because again, so now you got to jump back to the beginning because this is another gripe I had with the movie. When he shows up with his daughter Ruth, which
Yeah.
again, at first, I missed that he said daughter, and I thought that was his wife, and I was like, it's kind of gross. She looks really young. And then she called him his dad, or her dad, and I was like, okay, thank God. Um,
Hmm.
but they show up randomly, which again, he kind of had inside knowledge that we didn't know at this point. He just wanted to get out of the city. And so they drive there, and again, they Airbnb'd it, and the lady's freaking out. But what I didn't like was that even in the one of the synopses I read on IMDb, they were trying to almost make it a race thing for no reason. Like it's not
I
even a
thought she
race.
was being racist at
I
first.
At first for a second, yes, but not Ethan Hawke. But it almost seemed like they were trying to blow it. Ethan Hawke was just being chill the whole
Right.
time. Like he was being an
Yeah.
absolute fucking bro about everything. But I didn't like that at first. And I guess I don't know, maybe I know it's a movie and like that they have to work together, and that's like my thought process. Like this is the end all. But again, you're right. It is an uppity people from the city versus now two wealthy black people that they don't even think technically own this house, and it became like a
Right.
race issue for a second, and that pissed me off. I was like, dude, I'm trying to get into the world ending. Work your asses together. Now, what I do understand though is the idea of two fucking random strangers showing up at I would assume it's like midnight. Like the kids are old enough, but they're in bed. Like you got to assume it's like midnight. Like
Yeah.
yeah, sure, that would freak me out, but I
And,
didn't like
and
that
two,
for a
like they
second.
explain that she hates, people in general.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the movie, so yeah, I mean, she was just kind of an asshole throughout the whole thing, though, to pretty much
Right.
everyone.
And see, that's what I was picking up more on. So like, Ruth was the one that kept making like things about the like, kept basically implying like, oh, because we're African American. It's like, dude, no, it's because you're a fucking random stranger. And on top of
Yeah.
that, when GH goes to open the cabinet to give them like $1,000 cash, you just see the gun, and you're like, oh my god, what is about to happen here?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
once
so
he opened it, I believed him, obviously,
I
that
did
this
too.
was his house. So
I did too. And I don't know. And then from there again, Ethan Hawke just I loved him. I think he was my favorite the whole movie. With then G.H. Scott being like the number two. But only because again, he was such a bro. Like she packed his bag and was just like, all right, yeah, like I'll go. And
hmm
then he meets this random man. He's like, well, it's his house. Like, go ahead, make a drink. Like, we'll figure this out. Let me go talk to my bitch wife. I'm kidding. She hates people. It's justified.
right.
Um, but yeah, so that did irk me for a minute in the beginning. But then they worked together. I'm trying to think what other gripes I had with it. That whole Tesla thing didn't make any sense. They go to leave and they pull up and it's just all brand new Teslas and there's no
Crashing into
driver.
each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, that didn't make any sense. Did the hackers just put it in drive mode and send it? Like, and then
Or was it trying to block the entrances to
block the
freeways?
exit.
Like,
Yeah, see, like
yeah,
that
I
that
don't
would
know.
make sense, but they don't tell you. And then you know what I also thought
Hmm.
was that AI was fighting back. Is all I could think of. I thought it was like an Ultron situation now, and I
Yeah.
kept thinking that. And honestly, I thought that would have been a little sweet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, just
It's a lot. I mean, and it throws you all over the place, and then their their son Archie starts losing his teeth. Shit gets
dude, that oh
crazy.
my god, oh I got to talk about that. So,
Hmm.
have you ever had those dreams, Josh? This is like on a
Yeah.
personal level, and like
Hmm.
that's like stress related.
Yeah.
So I fucking got those dreams. I think starting like second half of college because there was so much going on. Didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I mean, hell, I still don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I just semi figured it out.
Hmm.
I would get them during college, during like exam time. Be like, oh, good, whatever. I started working this job in freight, and I would get these dreams like probably once every other week, dude. And it's gotten to the point to where I like if I know I'm having that dream, the second I pull out one tooth, I can like move a finger in real life and I'll wake myself up. But when I saw this dude, I thought I was tripping. Like I thought I was asleep in bed because I've never seen it portrayed on a screen. And the
Yeah.
second he just wiggled his tooth and came out, dude, I was ready to wake up. Like I was ready to pinch myself. I'm dreaming.
Yeah. Yeah. It was surreal, and it was kind of that was the one part where it's like, ooh, it's kind of hard to watch because it looked real as hell. Like him just pulling them out. I don't know. And it's like, is he gonna pull them all out? What's wrong with him?
Dude, yes, no, oh, that's the thing too, cause like he was going one by one. I think the worst one, dream wise that I ever had was I had braces in my dream. And I remember my braces got stuck to like my hand, and I went to go move my
Oh,
hand off my braces, and all my teeth ripped out with it. And so I was afraid he was going to
oh,
do that, like that he was going to pull one and it would just go in a row. Oh, dude, I was tripping. That might have been the whole like that, like not even the ending. That might have been the worst part of the movie.
yeah. It's like you can't really go to a dentist right now to get him back in, and he's throwing up vomit, or he's throwing up, he's vomiting blood. Um, yeah. But
Oh,
I guess to like kind of just talk about the end, I feel like we have to.
yep.
Um, Ruth and Amanda see that uh, New York's being attacked. Pretty surreal. That's the one time pretty much where we see out in the world outside of when Clay goes and explores and gets
Hmm.
lost. But like see what's happening in the city and to see that big cities are being attacked. Um, I believe the character's Rose, the daughter.
Yeah,
She
we didn't
runs
really get to
away.
talk about Rose,
Yeah,
but
she
she
runs
did
away. She's
give
this. Oh,
that
go ahead.
badass speech right before.
Yeah,
Dude,
she's
do you
seen
have
shit.
do you have that quote?
No,
Damn it. She
I
like
know what you're talking about.
so what we left out there's their youngest daughter Rose was watching Friends the whole way before the internet went out, and she just really wanted to watch the ending, the finale of Friends. And she doesn't get around to it until the very end. But before she like runs away, she gives this quote from the show West Wing, and it's that story about a flood coming, and there's a warning about a flood, and this stubborn guy that won't leave his house because he believes in God. And even though there was a warning, a rowboat that tried to rescue him and a helicopter kept saying, "No, God's got me." He ends up dying, and when he gets to heaven, he asks God, "Why didn't he save him?" God goes, "I gave you a warning, a rowboat, and a helicopter, and you said no. Like, what more do you want?" And Rose looks at the mom and goes, "I'm tired of waiting, mom." And you're like, "What the fuck?" Like, this girl's like maybe what, 12 years old, and she
Yeah,
hits her mom with that, and you're sitting there like, "Damn, that's deep." Wake up in the morning, she's gone. She hightailed it the fuck out of there, and you're like, "Where did this little ass girl go?" Lo and behold, she's next door the whole fucking time.
yeah, yeah. She found this house with a bunker in it, which Mahershala Ali and Ethan Hawke are told about. Also, too, like Amanda finds the bike trail, so they find her clearly.
That's exactly what I had told Andrew. I go,
Clearly,
clearly they go there because again, it's
yeah,
Danny who is Kevin Bacon that tells them after, because they do a
yeah,
whole standoff thing, and this is where it's badass. Is where you find out like the type of knowledge that GH had, and GH was just like, look, because he went on earlier telling Amanda the story about one of his like sellers or whatever the fuck it was, about how he
yeah.
used to make jokes about the end of the world, and the guy didn't laugh, and he just said, "You be safe out there," and hung up. And he goes, he never does that. Like, he's always laughing, even if the joke's bad or not. So he knew something was up, and that's why he went to the house with his daughter. Like, he kind of
Hmm.
knew he was never seeing his wife again. So they hightailed it up to the house. Movie progresses, and then you see him when Danny is holding a shotgun to Ethan Hawke and GH. He doesn't want to give them medicine, tells him to get the fuck off the property, and that's when Ethan Hawke gives that awesome monologue that he's just a man. Like, he's a worthless man, but he's just a man trying to save his family. They get in the car, which, mind you, I don't understand why Kevin Bacon didn't walk up to the window, because they sat there for like 10 minutes in the car just talking. Like, if I was him, I'd be like, the hell are you guys doing? But that's when
Yeah,
GH tells him, he's like, I've heard about this. He goes, the way to like destroy a government or destroy a country before like attacking, putting the final nail in the coffin, is a 3-step process. Blew my mind. Like, that shit was so
yeah,
not cool. It was. This is where it got real, because like
yeah. It's
we've been
scary.
saying, you hit them, you take out all communications, all comms. The planes are crashing, boats are crashing. You can't get on the phone, call anyone, can't drive anywhere. And then the second one was like, was that the mass? No, the third one would be mass hysteria. Hysteria, and that was when you saw like
Like a
GH
civil
literally.
war.
Yeah, GH is literally holding a gun to Danny, who's supposed to be his friend, his contractor that helped build the house. Just like two friends holding guns at each other because times are fucked. And you're like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, like this is actually the collapse.
Hmm.
And that was just so badass. And that's when they're like, when JJ is like, I need to know you're on my side. And he goes, what are you talking about? And he goes, we need to get to that bunker by any means necessary. Like, we are fucked if we don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and then too, it's like, did the medicine in his son get work? Like, you don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, we end up finding Rose, She stumbles upon the bunker downstairs.
Hmm.
Pretty sick bunker. It's self efficient.
Hmm.
You can grow food in there. There's tons of water, and she ends up finding a bunch of DVDs. To different shows, movies, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Kind of paradise, if you
Yep.
ask me. Um, or a safe haven, if you will. Uh, and of course, there's friends there. She pops it in, starts it. I thought the end credits being the Friends
Yeah.
theme song
Last
was
thing
pretty
you hear is
cool.
the theme song, dude. That was sick.
Yeah, and the last chapter is called the final one too, which
Oh.
is what the episode is for the finale of Friends. So, but that's where the movie ends, right? So it's like people are like, was she found? Stuff like that. It's like you could assume she was.
Hmm.
You do see that warning too on one of the computers down there, from like the White House, where the White
Yep.
House is under attack.
Yep.
Everyone's under attack. Stay inside. Like a warning, kind of just reinstating somewhat of what we saw outside
Hmm.
when we see the city. So yeah, but that's how it ends. How did you feel about the ending of the movie?
Now, I liked it well because again, GH had just broke down the three steps, and I'm so sorry I'm blanking on what that second step was, but we saw the three steps now go. Oh, it was mass hysteria, basically, is what the second one was because you don't know who's attacking you or what it is, and then the third one is we're under attack. Now we need to fend for ourselves. Like it's every man for themselves, or your little group for themselves, and that was cool. And then it cuts to now Amanda and Ruth, and they're sitting there, and they watch a bomb get dropped on New York. And now at that point, that's when you're like, is that even a civil war? Because like, who the hell's dropping bombs other than if it's the fucking attackers? Like, if it's like another drone dropping a bomb, who fucking knows? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I I thought it was good. I just kind of wish we could have seen more of an invasion a little bit. But again, we're
Yeah.
already 2 hours into the movie. So now it's just kind of like, again, movies have done this so much that it's like, you understand what the fuck's going on. So
Right.
when you look at it like that, I'm not that upset with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was watching it with Sydney, and we were just like, what? Like that's how it ended, and
It,
I said too. I feel like it could have been like a series. Maybe that would
mhm,
have done better, in my opinion. But I mean, this movie's really popular. Came out December 8th on
mhm.
Netflix, and it's been in the top 10 since we're recording this, so a month later. And that's why we wanted to review it and talk about it, just because clearly it is capturing a lot of people's attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I see the gripes on both sides, and I agree to both things.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, to get into scores, and I can go first. Like I said, I think the camera work was pretty excellent in this movie. I liked it a lot. There's a scene where I believe it's Julia Roberts going up the stairs in the house for the first time,
Hmm.
and like the camera work, the way it's like swaying around her is really cool. Just things to notice like that. Like I said, the coloring too is really cool. I get what they're trying to do with the story. I just feel like they didn't execute enough. Like the deer was like the biggest thing for me. It's like, what was that? Like I had to go look up YouTube videos on that. And sometimes when you
Yeah.
look up YouTube videos on a movie, it could be because you really liked it. But then in this case, it was more like I just I gotta understand what the hell I just watched, because I feel like I missed some stuff. So,
Right.
and even in those videos, they really couldn't explain it to me too well. So, um, I don't know. I'm gonna go with a solid 70, because I would recommend it if someone asked me about it, like, hey, should I check this out? I'd be like, yeah, sure. If you know, and kind of just briefly explain it, but not give anything up.
Hmm.
But I probably won't rewatch it again. So I
That's
feel like
fair.
a flat 70s fair on that. So
All right. All right. I like it. Um, I'm gonna go a little bit higher, and actually, Andrew has the same score. He texted me it, and I was like, "That's funny," because I was thinking the same. We're both going 80 on this.
okay,
Um, but again, what's funny is, like I said earlier, me and Andrew do text about shit all the time. Like when shit's hitting the fan, we do text about it. We're like, dude, we're fucked. Like this is it. This is gonna be the end. So like if you're into that shit, you watch this movie, and like if you're up on like recent politics, like yeah, this movie was like good for the timing. And I thought because of that, it was really cool. And then, like Josh said, the camera work was really great. And one of my favorite shots, and again, I think this is where I looked it up because I wasn't sure if it was aliens or not. They did when they were driving to the house, they like zoom out a little bit, and there's like an overview, and it's just a circle. And all I could think of was the movie Signs. And the way
Hmm.
that the music sounded too, I thought it was alien based. And then I looked
Yeah.
it up and I was like, oh, it's a cyber attack. And I was like, well, it could still be aliens. Like, the aliens figured out how to get into our fucking internet and shit like that. We're fucked. Um, but yeah, I think this movie for me gets a solid 80. I don't imagine I'll like rewatch it other than if I come home and just throw something on in the background, or if I tell my parents to watch it and they sit down and watch it and I come walking by and I see it, then yeah, sure, I'll hop in there real quick and sit down for it. But no, it was a pretty fun watch. That ending was pretty sudden, and I understand why people wouldn't like it, but I don't think it was like the worst movie ever by
Yeah,
any
because
means.
I think it was Aiden that said like, "What the hell was the point of me watching that?" He felt like he kind of wasted his time a little bit, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, again, I see both sides of it,
Yep.
but yeah, that was our Leave the World Behind review. Thank you guys for listening. I think the plan is next week we're gonna go see the Iron Claw, which I heard is really sad. I've seen people crying while
Yeah,
watching
I'm
it.
bringing tissues.
Um, yeah, so and we obviously we're a big fan of the cast, so we're excited to see it. So, but thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.